Hello TikTokers, just got into work again and I'm a bit early, so I'm going to do a quick scripture for you. Today's taken from Corinthians 3:18. Stop deceiving yourself. If you think you are wise by this world's standards, you need to become a fool to be truly wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness to God, as the scriptures say. He traps the wise in the snare of their own cleverness. And again, the Lord knows the thoughts of the wise. He knows they are worthless. So don't boast about following a particular human leader, for everything belongs to you, whether Paul or Apollos or Peter or the world or life or death, or the present and the future. Everything belongs to you, and you belong to Christ, and Christ belongs to God. So that's today's scripture, and I was wondering where I was going to go with this, because this morning coming to work, sometimes I think, I'm quite intelligent, I'm quite evolved as a Christian, I'm getting better and better day by day. And yet today, and I'm quite articulate, so some people would say, reasonably clever. But anyway, today I was coming into work, and in order to get to my workplace, I have to come down a street where the cars are parked both sides of the road. Now, I would understand if there was no gap, if there was no kind of missing cars, when they have the drop pathway. I would understand if what they call the centre bus had parked in there, very large centre bus in the middle of the street. So that means no one can go up, no one can go down. And they're going inside this house. It's not a quick drop like a post office delivery. They're getting a person out of the house, and where the gap is, it's literally next door. So I'm sure that those owners of that house would have been more than willing to allow that coach or whatever it was to park in their driveway or in that just in front of their drop curb while they take the lady from next door into the van. Oh no. They literally block it in the middle of two cars, and they go inside the house. And you can imagine how long it takes to go inside a house, bring down an elderly, or whether she was elderly or disabled or whatever, but she came out in a wheelchair, put her on the bus, raise the bus, do whatever they needed to do inside. Then they're marking up this book, and then they're having a chat, and then they're sitting down. And I'm sitting there, and I was thinking to myself, how selfish. And at one point, I was going to get out of that car and go up to the window and say, why couldn't you park in there? Why would you have to disrupt everybody's day just for a little few more steps to push the wheelchair? Why would you do that? Where is the love? I'm just thinking to myself. And then I had to kind of check myself and say, am I wrong? Am I wrong to be getting, I wouldn't say I was upset. I wouldn't even say I was angry. I would say I was frustrated because I can't understand the insensitivity of people. They know it's a time when people have to go to work. They know that people cannot pass. And just for your own convenience, the convenience of one person, as opposed to goodness knows how many people were queuing up behind me, how many people were queuing up behind that van. Dustbin men I can understand. They don't have a choice. They have to stop outside the houses that they're picking up the bins from. And usually, if there is a space, they still try to cram those big vans into it. But I'm just thinking to myself, they're not going to steal my joy today. And so when I'm thinking about this chapter and those people who think they're clever. Some people do think that because they have a level of intelligence, or I don't even know if it's intelligence, but because they're academicians, yeah, they are held in high esteem. But that's why God says, even those people behave foolishly. Now, if I had gone out of my car and gone up to the window and they'd had some kind of genuine reason for blocking the traffic, then I would have felt foolish. As it stood, I decided to sit in the car and wait it out and just watch. I couldn't even give them eye contact. That's how frustrated I was. I just turned my head. Because I know the woman, she had no intention of apologising. I noticed that, with the dustbin men, even though they can't help it, they always say, "Oh, I'm sorry for holding you up." But this woman, she just came out with such authority and such arrogance. And as though this is my job, I have to do my job, and it doesn't matter how many people are inconvenienced. Anyway, I've had my little vent for the day. I don't normally vent. I normally give you some good words. So let me just let me just repeat this. Stop deceiving yourself. If you think you are wise by this world's standard, you need to become a fool to become truly wise. And this is talking about people who do put themselves on high esteem because they feel as though they're educated. They use long words and they try to confuse people. And yet the most simplest things are the most effective, but they don't use them. But those who may not be so educated, they find ways. If you notice, people who can't read and write, they find other ways to overcompensate. You don't have to be somebody who reads and writes to be considered wise and educated. And yet that is the attitude, or how these people, especially these politicians and people who consider themselves in high authority, behave. They behave as though because they can speak eloquently and because they can use long words, they are wise. But in God's eyes, they're just foolish because they're not making life simple. They're not allowing people to understand. They're not coming down off of their high horse and coming to a level where they can actually communicate with people to understand. But that is the trick. They have no intention of people understanding what they say. Their intention is to confuse people and to make people feel as though they are powerful, they are important, and they are the authority. So it's all deliberate. But even those people, they will be turned around because, you can't defeat God. You can't defeat the natural. You can't defeat the innocent. You can't defeat the naive because they are pure and simple. They are, in the long term, the more wiser because they are not influenced and they're not persuaded by arrogance. They just look at them and say, oh well, and they'll make their own sense out of it. It's like sometimes I go to these nail technicians and they don't speak a word of English. And yet through innuendo, through body language, through pointing, and through the odd occasional word, they allow you to understand what they're saying, even though they're not speaking English. And it's a similar thing. When you don't have the language or the acuity or the whatever it is to make you feel as though you're up there, the most simplest things will befuddle those people who consider themselves educated. And I guess I don't know if this makes much sense to you today. I don't know if I'm waffling, but you have a blessed day. And that's all for now. Bye-bye.